Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year, and welcome back to Codo's Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, and today, as we kick off the spring 2020 semester, I'm going to count down my favorite movies of 2019 in top 10. And just to be clear, I'm talking about the movies from 2019. Now, I understand that today you guys are back from winter break, and that is fine because I'm pretty sure some people are tired and they want to get their books and settle in. But hey, just to refresh, let's take a time machine, go back in time, grab some popcorn, sit on your chair or anywhere at least, and listen to my top 10 movies of 2019. And one more thing, major spoilers ahead. Number 10, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Kicking off this list is we're traveling to a galaxy far, far away for the very last time in the Skywalker saga and sequel trilogy. Spoilers ahead for those who have not seen this movie. The movie sets 1 year after the events of Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, which is basically Episode 8, with J.J. Abrams returning to direct, where we find Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, meeting the now returned Emperor Palpatine, played by Ian McDiarmid, who created Supreme Leader Snoke and setting up the Final Order just to wipe out the entire galaxy. This leaves Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, and Finn, John Boyega, and the entire gang to team up and stop the First Order with the help of the Rebels and the return of Lando Calrissian, played by Billy D. Williams. And we can't forget the posthumous performance by our princess herself, Carrie Fisher as Layla, who passed away in 2016, a year before The Last Jedi. Also, unreleased footage of The Force Awakens was used in this film. So, yes, that was unreleased footage from Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, to recreate Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia. So, yes. Now, actually, I understand that a lot of people took issues with this movie because of the fact that it's the aftermath of Episode 8, The Last Jedi, which is directed by Rian Johnson, and yeah, and to be clear, I mean, I actually love this movie. This is actually a good movie. I mean, like, I know. There were actually flaws in this movie, but I'm just gonna be totally honest with you, and to all of you people out there, Star Wars has its fair share of flaws. Okay, not every Star Wars movie is perfect, and I don't care it's the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, or sequel trilogy, or anything that is related to Star Wars canon. Okay, just understand this: every Star Wars movie has a flaw, and that is fine, because not every movie is perfect. I mean, yes, the pacing was off. I mean, we had a pacing issue in this movie, but I actually enjoyed this movie. The performances were good. I love the visual effects, and especially Carrie Fisher's posthumous performance as Princess Leia. I think it's a pretty good send-off. I actually love the return of Lando Calrissian, played by Billy D. Williams. Even though it was a minor role, but hey, it's still nice to see him back on board the Millennium Falcon. And surprisingly, I'm actually surprised that the Emperor actually returned to this movie. It was basically a big surprise. Not to mention the trailers. So I think the trailers kind of gave it away, but who's to say? I mean, hey, you got to keep it under wraps. And I actually liked how J.J. Abrams came back to direct the last one, despite the previous reception of The Last Jedi, but in the end, it was actually a pretty good movie. I actually like the movie. Despite the flaws it has, it's actually a pretty good movie. Well, at least we got Mandalorian right now. Well, actually, even though the first season of The Mandalorian is over, so we can't wait to see more open door opportunities for Star Wars in the near future, whether it's in spin-offs or TV series. Speaking of which, can't wait to see what Season 2 of The Mandalorian will be like in fall of 2020, and the Season 7 return of Star Wars The Clone Wars sometime in February of 2020 on Disney+. Okay, moving forward. Oh, and by the way, since this is the last Star Wars movie, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. You are now one with the Force, and thank you for being our princess in Princess Leia and Star Wars. May the Force be with you. All right. Moving on. Number 9, Spies in Disguise. In this animated film, the film follows Lance Sterling, voiced by Will Smith, a secret agent working for the HTUV. Actually, I forgot the acronyms for that. I actually forgot what it stands for, but I know it's a secret agent organization. So anyway, moving on. So basically, Lance Sterling, who suddenly gets falsely accused as a traitor to a villain named Killian, voiced by Ben Mendelsohn. So Lance teams up with Walter, voiced by Tom Holland, to turn invincible, but instead turns into a pigeon instead. Talk about pigeon impossible. Actually, I think there was something before Spies in Disguise was actually. I think this was based off Pigeon Impossible. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway. So this leads Walter and Lance to team up and stop Killian with the help of Walter's gadgets and some pigeons to help. What I actually like about this movie is the fact that Tom Holland's character is basically a kind of to put it politely, a smart scientist at best. But actually in this movie, Walter got fired by Lance Sterling because of the fact that Walter actually replaced one of his gadgets with kitty glitter on one of his missions, which actually surprisingly worked well because some of Walter's gadgets actually worked out. It's kind of like a fact that sometimes it's better to stop the villain safe than being dangerous. Well, technically, in most missions, it's kind of dangerous, but I actually like the gadgets that Walter has in this movie. So. And it actually worked out pretty well, even though they're actually pretty funny too. What I actually like about this movie is that it tackled a lot of spy cliches, especially the part. I think there was a Spider-Man joke in this one. Not to mention Tom Holland played Spider-Man in Spider-Man movies, but I think it was I can't remember which moment it was, but like no, I made up the joke. It's a joke I made up because I think it was the fact of how Tom Holland and Will Smith were trying to like get over to one building to another. So, despite the fact that Will Smith plays a pigeon in this movie, which I think was actually pretty hilarious. I mean, hey, who doesn't love pigeons? Who doesn't love this? I mean, hey, who wants to see a pigeon go on a spy mission? I think that's actually pretty clever. That's actually a pretty funny movie. All right. Anyway, moving on. Number 8, Spider-Man Far From Home. Speaking of Tom Holland, this second installment takes Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, and the gang on a trip to Europe at the events of Avengers Endgame. Throughout the movie, Peter Parker is led to very tough choices on whether he wants to save the world or just spend time with his friends and impress his love for MJ, played by Zendaya, while they're traveling to Europe. However, the trip goes in the opposite direction because the Elementals invade Europe. So Spider-Man teams up with the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, which basically Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, with a newcomer named Quentin Beck, a.k.a. Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, who, later in the film, was a former partner with Tony Stark and becomes the villain in this movie. Now, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. Quentin Beck, a.k.a. Mysterio, is one of Spider-Man's greatest villains. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, he is. He is basically one of Spider-Man's greatest villains. Not to mention, I actually like this movie. It's actually one of the best Spider-Man movies out there. Now, here's the thing. This will not top Spider-Man 2, which is basically Tobey Maguire, and by the way, I really, really love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Because Tobey Maguire will forever be the Spider-Man that we know and love today. But hey, Tom Holland does it too. And Andrew Garfield, but hey, Tom Holland actually holds his own pretty well with Spider-Man. And I'm not lying. I'm not lying. He actually did a pretty good job. Tom Holland does a very good job as Spider-Man. And anyway, I actually love Spider-Man: Far From Home. The action sequences were good. Some of the visual effects were actually pretty good, and I love the character take of Quentin Beck and Mysterio. Just like know that Quentin Beck used to work with Tony Stark. That's actually pretty surprising too, because we actually got a clip from Captain America: Civil War where we actually see Quentin Beck at one of Stark's conventions of some sort. Although that was not included in the Captain America: Civil War, that was actually included in Spider-Man: Far From Home, which was actually pretty surprising. And I do like the story. The story itself is actually pretty good. Actually, fun fact, speaking of Mysterio, did you guys know that Bruce Campbell was originally going to play Mysterio in a canceled Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire? Did you guys not know that? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys do. Because Sam Raimi was originally going to direct a fourth Spider-Man movie after the reception of Spider-Man 3, which includes Mysterio as a rather small cameo than a major role, because Bruce Campbell's cameos in the first three Spider-Man movies were supposed to be the same characters, kind of like chameleon a little bit, but actually it's actually pretty mysterious for Mysterio to be played by the same character, which is actually pretty surprising. And that's actually a pretty nice touch to it, even though we never got a chance to see that. But hey, at least we got Jake Gyllenhaal playing Quentin Beck Mysterio, so that's actually pretty good. Like I said, I really love the movie. Spider-Man: Far From Home became the highest-grossing Spider-Man movie of ever to date. And that is actually basically saying something. Alright, I'm going to move on right now. Number 7, Shazam. It seems like DC is on a roll this year, because Shazam is one of DC's critical acclaimed movies since 2017's Wonder Woman. The film follows Billy Batson, played by Zachary Levi, or actually, I forgot the kid who played Billy Batson in his kid form. Actually, I forgot. But anyway, Zachary Levi does play Billy Batson, aka Shazam, who is basically a foster kid, becomes the titular character after saying the wizard's name, Shazam. Yep, you know what that means. Yep, which gives him the ability to have speed, strength, immunity, among many other abilities. With these powers, Billy Batson also faces his enemy, Dr. Thaddeus Sivana, played by Mark Strong. I actually like this movie. It's kind of family friendly, but it actually does tackle a lot of pretty good elements from the comic books, even elements from the 1980s. Actually, the musical score itself also pays homage to some of John Williamson's musical scores, like Star Wars, Jurassic Park. I think there was a hidden Jurassic Park joke in one of the doors, basically the T-Rex war, and I'm pretty sure there was. Anyway, it was actually a pretty good movie. I love the direction that it gave from David F. Sandberg. But fun fact, David F. Sandberg voices Mr. Mind in the post-credit scene. There's a sequel planned for that. Anyway, this is a pretty good movie. It does tackle some pretty good issues between Billy Batson and his including his foster brother, including his foster family members. Wow, also, and the action sequences were pretty good too, even though we never got to see that many action sequences. But hey, it's an origin story, so it kind of makes sense to have it. But anyway, it's a very good movie to watch. I love Shazam, and it's also a Christmas movie. Fun fact, it's a Christmas movie. And hey, if you like Christmas movies, don't forget to check out my top 10 favorite Christmas movies of all time back in episode 12. So anyway, now I'm about to move on to my next entry. So anyway, 1, 2, 3, Shazam! Alright, number 5, Rocket Man. I think, if I'm saying the lyrics correctly, I think everything's going to be a long, long time, because Rocket Man is another musical biopic win for Dexter Fletcher. Speaking of Dexter Fletcher, he not only directed Rocket Man, but he also took part in the direction for another musical biopic. Yep, Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody was another musical biopic that came out the year before Rocket Man. Although Bohemian Rhapsody was actually directed by Bryan Singer, but he actually left the film and was replaced by Fletcher, although Bryan Singer still received the sole directing credit for Bohemian Rhapsody, so Dexter Fletcher got an executive producing credit, although we kind of know what happened in that story between those two. Actually, we kind of know I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know what happened during the production of Bohemian Rhapsody, but I'm not talking about Bohemian Rhapsody right now. Actually, that was a little bit of it, Bohemian Rhapsody. But anyway, we're talking about Rocket Man because Rocket Man's Dexter Fletcher's second musical biopic that he's doing right now. So, all right, however, yep. All right, anyway, Rocket Man follows the story and life of Reginald Dwight, also known as Elton John, played by Taron Egerton, who grows up to become a famous musician while also going into his sexuality life and struggles of addiction, which is basically kind of the point of the story. Basically, is showing the life of Elton John as a kid and growing up to become a successful musician while facing some certain issues. Now, I actually like this movie. It's actually a pretty good movie. I love the musical scores. Hey, actually, fun fact. I mean, the musical scores in general, the song numbers in general, it actually felt like we're watching an actual stage musical a little bit, and it's actually pretty impressive. I actually like this movie because it actually felt like an actual staged musical, despite the fact that it is also a musical biopic. It's actually a pretty good movie, and not to mention, it does have a similar connection to Bohemian Rhapsody. Not to mention the fact that John Reid was one of the music managers for both Queen and Elton John, which is actually a true fact. I'm pretty sure that's a true fact. So anyway, I actually like this movie. Taron Egerton played a very good Elton John. Actually, not to mention, Taron Egerton actually played I'm Still Standing in the movie Sing, which was another movie that Taron Egerton was in. But he actually played a gorilla in Sing, where he actually plays I'm Still Standing by Elton John, and during the finale of the movie. Also in the recent Kingsman movie, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, Elton John was actually in that movie as a cameo. Well, actually, I'm more of an extended cameo as a hostage. Thankfully, Taron Egerton plays Eggsy in that movie, with Colin Firth to help save Elton John. And now, Taron Egerton plays Elton John in Rocket Man, which is actually pretty surprising. Actually, that is actually pretty surprising. I got to give him points for that. Give him good points for that. So, anyway, now I'm about to move on right now. So, here we go. Number 4, Frozen 2. Okay. So anyway, Disney has a pretty good year with their films as of now. I mean, they have a lot of films that they actually had in 2019. And Frozen 2 is no exception. Okay, so basically, I wasn't really sure about Frozen 2. I did have some doubts about this sequel, but actually after the trailer came out, I actually had a change of heart due to the film's tone. And the reason why? Well, I think the movie is going for a much more different tone, which I think actually might be pretty good. And it actually did. Once the movie came out, it exceeded my expectation from the tone of the film. It got me good. It was... The tone itself was actually pretty good. I actually loved it, liked this movie, because the film follows Elsa, Anna, and Kristoff going on an adventure into the unknown and discover Elsa's magical powers while saving the kingdom of Arendelle. That's actually basically the point of this movie. Like, basically, in this movie, Elsa is trying to discover her powers. Like, and it turns out it's actually the fifth element. Elsa's the fifth element, because the 4 elements that you probably know is earth, air, fire, and water. Which, technically, the 5th element is ice. That's actually very surprising, and the story itself is actually pretty good. And the songs, I thought the songs were actually pretty good. I mean, not as memorable as the ones in the first Frozen movie, but they're actually pretty good. They're actually pretty good at best. So anyway, it's actually pretty good. Anyway, I like Frozen 2 is a pretty good movie, and I mean, hey, it may not top the original, but it's still a good movie at best. All right? All right, that's good. All right. Moving on to the top 3. Number 3, Avengers Endgame. This is the film that culminated 22 Marvel Cinematic Universe films since 2008's Iron Man. In the aftermath of the snap, the Avengers go on a time heist travel to recollect the 6 Infinity Stones and snap their way to bring back half of humanity, to which Thanos, played by Josh Brolin, have succeeded in Avengers Infinity War. I know a lot of you guys are saying that Avengers Endgame should be my number 1 choice, but actually there are a couple more other movies. There's actually a movie that kind of made my top choice, and more of a split decision. But anyway, Avengers Endgame is literally the greatest Marvel movie ever. Like, literally something that every Marvel fan literally dreamed of. Even the movie fans in general. We get to see we get to see the Avengers team up, settle their differences, and literally go back in time to collect the Infinity Stones and reverse the snap. Not to mention, the final battle itself is something that every Marvel fan dreamed of. Having all of the Marvel characters come back after the snap. Literally. And it had the amazing cinematic moment that we've been waiting for since 2008. Literally, that final battle was so great. So great. Especially the moment beforehand was so amazing. Like, literally great. Rest in peace, Iron Man. We love you 3000. And, man, Avengers Endgame was really a great movie for 2019. Okay. I'm sorry. I need the moments, man. Alright, moving on. Number 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. When it comes to movies, Quentin Tarantino comes to mind. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Tarantino's love letter to the 1960s, taking place in an alternate 1969. And when I mean alternate, I mean it is basically the Quentin Tarantino movie universe. So yes, this is set in the Quentin Tarantino movie universe, not to mention the 9th film that is directed by Quentin Tarantino. The film follows Rick Dalton, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, as they navigate the changes that are happening in the film industry through multiple storylines to create a fairy tale tribute for the golden age of Hollywood. The title itself is a reference to Once Upon a Time in America and Once Upon a Time in the West. As with most Quentin Tarantino movies, there are several various Easter eggs from his other films, mostly references to Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Basterds, and Kill Bill. Yes, you're going to see a lot of references from a lot of Quentin Tarantino's movies and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, including some Easter eggs too. Yep, I actually like this movie. I mean, it may be long, but it's still actually pretty good. Actually, little quick history. For those of you who have seen this movie or have not seen this movie, the film also includes the life of Sharon Tate, to which I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know the story. Basically, in 1969, in August, I think it was August of 1969, or I could be wrong, but it was in August of 1969. Members of the Manson family killed the wife of director Roman Polanski, which is basically Sharon Tate. But in this movie, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the members of the Manson family almost went to Sharon Tate's house, but it was caught off guard by Rick Dalton, because, hey, I mean, like, driving out in the middle of the night is kind of crazy for neighbors, so yeah, I can understand why. But I actually like the point of the ending where the members of the Manson family run to the wrong house, and I consider the last 10 minutes of the movie to be the most Tarantino moment of all. Yep. The Manson family fights Cliff Booth. Literally the greatest moment in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was the ending. Kind of similar to Inglourious Basterds, but anyway, whenever a movie made by Quentin Tarantino is set in an alternate universe, you're gonna see a lot of changes. despite the fact that there will be history being repeated itself. Literally, the last 10 minutes of that film is amazing, and it's literally worth it. I mean, yes. I know the movie itself is good, but hey, the last 10 minutes of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is good. All right, time to move on to my number one choice. Okay, and so anyway, I wasn't really sure for my number one choice, and I wasn't really sure if this last entry will be my number one choice. And I am pretty sure a lot of people will say that this movie belongs on a lower entry, or at least on a number 3 entry. But please, ladies and gentlemen, bear with me as I send in the clowns. That is right, folks. The Joker. So, taking the last laugh on this list is Batman's greatest villains Batman's greatest villains of all time getting a supervillain origin story. Was it a supervillain origin story that we asked for? Probably, yes. Yes, that is right, folks. And my number one choice is Joker. Set in Gotham City in the 1980s, the film follows Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who is a failed stand-up comedian who is having a rough time in society through mental illness of his laughter and troubled life. And he is being mocked by a lot of people, including late-night show host Murray Franklin, played by Robert De Niro, for playing a video of Arthur's failed stand-up routine. This leads Arthur to become the Joker. And while Arthur did get a chance to appear in Murray Franklin's late-night show, he becomes crazy and, yep, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what happened in that scene. The Joker kills Murray Franklin and later becomes the clown prince of crime. Okay, The Joker is literally the movie that I really, really enjoyed because you don't really see a lot of action set pieces. Because the reason why, because the Joker is basically telling a story from his perspective. It's because the film traded the Access chemical storylines for the Joker with society for the Joker of how Arthur Fleck becomes the Joker. This is something that we can relate to because we can understand why and how Arthur Fleck becomes the Joker. He was mocked. He was ridiculed. And yeah, he had mental illness. But not to mention the fact that it also tackles violence. It tackled the violence and mental illness in this movie, which I think was actually pretty clever. Like, we understand why the Joker is doing this. Why the Joker is Joker in the first place. We know why. And it's actually amazing. It's an amazing piece of art that we're watching. Todd Phillips directed this movie, with Bradley Cooper producing this film. Not to mention, it also references some of Martin Scorsese's films like Taxi Driver and I forgot the other film, but Robert De Niro's character was also in another Martin Scorsese film. Taxi Driver is one of them, but I forgot what the other film was. But mostly Taxi Driver. This is like an amazing film, and yes, there were a lot of divided responses from not filmmakers, but like some critics. A lot of people and critics took issue with the portrayal of violence, mental illness in this movie, but I think this film did pretty well with those serious topics because it told a story of how the Joker becomes the Joker, and it's a very serious movie, especially the musical score by Hildur Guðnadóttir, to which she did an amazing job with the music. She did amazing, especially Joaquin Phoenix's performance as the Joker. But, like I said, the Joker got the last laugh, however, because it became one of the highest grossing films of 2019, and Joaquin Phoenix and Hildur Guðnadóttir both won Golden Globes for the Joker. Well, here's hoping for Joaquin Phoenix to get his Oscar. And there you have it, folks. That is my top 10 2019 movies. So anyway, what do you guys think? I know a lot lot of you people are asking why Joker is my number one choice. Well, it's kind of my choice, but sometimes we all have certain facts and opinions of movies, and that is a fair point to make. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in to Codo's Cinema. Thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo. We'll tune in not next week, because next week is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we will tune in to Codo's Cinema in about 2 weeks. I'm your host, Mark Codo. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a good first day of school, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.